Hey everybody, it's Chanda, the team leader of Team Poshy Bees, here to talk to you today about how to be a goal-directed leader. What's a goal-directed leader? I think that as leaders and as organizations, we spend a lot of time teaching people how to write goals, how to make them measurable and achievable, and all of these wonderful things. But as leaders, we don't spend a lot of time identifying our team members and helping them to take the goals that they've written and achieve them. They get stuck, they get stalled, and no one says, time out, let's see what's happening here. So if you will imagine that goals are on a time continuum with a start and a finish, much like a race, then we can have a much easier time imagining how we can get people from the beginning to the end. So once you have gotten your people plugged in, you've gotten them through training, you've gotten them started, you've gotten all of that front end stuff completed, and they're standing at the front, at the finish line, the start line, with their goals in hand, ready to go. Watch very carefully how they begin and end their races. Most people fall into 4 categories. So phase 1 people are at the finish line or at the start line, and that is about as far as they ever make it. These folks kind of tend to fall into 2 categories if they get stuck right at the start. The first one is what I call a Mama Jean. It's just a nickname I have for this type of person. Mama Jeans will step out onto the start line, look at the finish line, and go, oh, hell no, no, I am not doing that. Mama didn't wear the right shoes for that. Mama didn't bring an umbrella. Mama's hungry. Mama, no, you have lost your mind. Mama Jean is not walking that distance. It's not happening. These folks are not really in it to complete a goal. You can check in on them periodically, but spending a lot of time with them, even though that might be your instinct, is a mistake. They are not yet mentally ready to start the race. Don't waste your time. The second group of people that are stuck at the start are my Matthew McConaughey's. If you ever saw the movie Failure to Launch, these people have all the resources, the knowledge. They have fantastic goals written up, ready to go, and yet they never seem to launch. They never seem to get moving. You can identify these people, and often they're very deceiving because they have fantastic goals written up. They have, very detailed plans. These folks will spend the entire month, from the first day of the month to the last day of the month, writing up their calendar on what they're going to do that month, having never actually done any of the things they listed. They're great planners. They are not good executors. So they will tend to sit there and wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect amount of time, the perfect finances, the perfect whatever, before they're willing to begin. And we all know that if you wait for perfect conditions to begin anything, you're never going to start. So intervention for these people, how do you get them to take that first step? You simply remove this very detailed, very elaborate plan from them and give them a slow pitch just to start, just to encourage them to step off of the plate and get moving, achieve something, build some momentum. Spend some time with those folks doing that. If they start to walk, then you know you've got someone who has some goal-directed mentalities that you need to foster and grow. That group, you need to spend about 10% of your time with them. Spending a lot of time with that group is going to be very time-consuming, very frustrating, and probably not yield a lot. Okay, phase 2 people. Phase 2 people are people who got to walking, they got to moving, they got to grooving, and just like all of us, just like every single person who starts a goal, they tripped over something. Something stalled them, something didn't go as planned, something didn't work. And these people fall into 3 categories. The first group will stumble, stand up, take a look, dust themselves off, adjust, and keep going. Pay attention to those people. They are goal-directed people. Those are the people that you want. Those are the people that you're going to see at the finish line. They adjust accordingly. They don't get hung up on it, and they just keep walking. Pay attention to those people. Great folks. Phase 2 people in the second category are your people who run into the barrier and back up and run into it again and back up and run into it again as if they don't see it. These folks will do the same thing over and over and over again, hoping for a different outcome because it's all they know. You may see this from month to month with some of your teams who do a couple of things really well, but they're missing one piece that would really propel them forward, and they just don't make a plan to solve that. They just continue to run into the same place. They may even do this month after month. They may start over at the beginning every month, hit the same wall, and peter out every single time. So the intervention for that type of person is to point out that they've run into a barrier where they're getting stuck, and ask them, what's your plan? What's your plan? Sometimes just drawing their attention to the fact that they need a plan is enough to get them going. And if it's not, then maybe you can feed them some pieces of a plan until they're able to navigate around that obstacle and keep going. You're going to have another group of people at phase 2 who are going to think they failed. They failed. They've hit a speed bump that we all hit. Finances, time issues, illness, whatever it is, something didn't go your way, and so they think they have failed and they need to completely reinvent the wheel. They are going to start all over from scratch, scrap everything they've ever learned, everything that's even stuff that's worked for them in the past, and say, I need to watch videos and take classes and start over with a new mentor and all of these crazy things, when the truth is maybe something just went wrong that one time and all they need to do is get up, dust themselves off, and keep going. So encourage these folks to get back on the horse. Again, give these folks a slow pitch, something achievable, something they know how to do, build that momentum up again, and get them walking forward. So those are your phase 2 people. You want to spend about 40% of your time with them. These folks typically will respond to an intervention. Pay attention to whether or not they are, because if they don't respond to the intervention, then they may actually belong back at the start. But if they respond to intervention, these are people that you can cultivate into runners. Phase 3 people. These are your runners. These are the people who accomplish goals easily. They fell down before, they got up, they dusted themselves off, they kept going. You met them at the finish line. You continue to meet them consistently at the finish line month after month after month. Some people's instincts are to let these people run on autopilot. They already know what they're doing. They don't need me. If you let these people run on autopilot, they tend to get into a comfort zone, into a cycle of completing the same goals over and over again, and they need someone to raise the bar, to push them a little further, to achieve a little more. So don't leave these folks to their own devices. Praise them, reward them, shout them out to others, make them an example to others to follow, and more importantly, find out what works for them. What are they doing, and what are they doing well that gets them to that finish line repeatedly? These are the folks that you're going to want to share with the rest of your team. Everyone brings the skills to the table. Everyone brings something that they're better at than someone next to them, even though they may be finishing the race at the same time. Use these as your mentors, your leaders, your coaches. Cultivate what they're doing and replicate it down the line. Find out what their goals are. Find out what they're trying to achieve in their vehicle. Whatever your process is, whatever your company is, whatever your business is, it's a vehicle for these people to achieve a dream of some sort. Find out what those dreams are. Take interest in them, help them accomplish those, and they will continue to come back and do it over and over and over again. Use these as your leaders. Phase 4. Phase 4 is you. Phase 4 is you. Never ask someone to do something that you aren't willing to do yourself and that you aren't doing on a regular basis before them. If you want them to run a race and complete a goal every month, you better darn well be making the same goals, achieving the same thing, and doing it faster. If your team thinks I can only do 80% of what she's doing, then you want them to do more, then you need to do more. You need to raise that bar for yourself and demonstrate that you know what it takes, that you're willing to do it yourself, that you have the qualities worth listening to, worth paying attention to, worth being a mentor, and don't be afraid to show that you have fallen down. Don't be afraid of that. So oftentimes leaders want to buff over all of their mistakes because they think it makes them a better leader, when in truth, letting your team know, I fell, I got frustrated, things didn't go my way, but I adjusted, I adapted, I moved forward, I didn't get hung up on it, I didn't get bitter about it, and I didn't complain, are huge, valuable keys to getting your team to follow your lead. They need to see that everyone falls down, but that the ones that got to the finish lines are the ones who got back up. And lastly, leaders are the first ones in and the last ones out. What does that mean? It means you need to complete your goals first. It means that you need to be willing to step up in front of them and take the negative stuff, take the bad stuff, take the complaints, take all of the rotten stuff that isn't working. You take that off their plate. You work on that yourself. And that you're the last one off the field at the end of the day after everyone else has come through. You've given everyone water. You've made sure everyone's taken care of. You make sure everyone has made it to where they want to be. You've gone back for anybody who didn't quite make it. You are the first one in and the last one out. That's what being a good leader is all about. So use that to identify the people on your team. Use that to help them be more goal-directed, and help you use that to hone your own skills as being a goal-directed leader. Hope this helps. Thanks so much.